So I picked a couple questions for you guys to work on. I will say your quiz is 8 questions. It's 8 questions. There's going to be 2 area questions. And then 6 solve the triangle. All right, so 2 area questions, 6 are going to say solve the triangle. I do believe all of the triangles are drawn out for you guys. They might not be labeled A, B, C, but they will be labeled. And I do believe, if I remember correctly, they are all drawn for you, so you're not going to have to draw them. The only tricky thing about this quiz is that the questions that say solve are just going to say solve the triangle. It's not going to say use law of sines. It's not going to say solve the right triangle. It's just going to say solve the triangle. So to solve the triangle, a couple things you want to keep in mind. The first thing you want to ask is it a right triangle? All right, if it is, you're going to use SOHCAHTOA and Pythagorean theorem to find any missing sides, angles. All right. If it is not a right triangle, you're going to use law of sines or law of cosines. But I'm going to say you're going to use law of sines if you have a matching pair. I don't really know how else to call it. What I mean by matching pair, I mean same side, same angle. So for example, you have angle A and you have side A. Or you have angle B and you have side B, right? This is where you use law of sines. So same side, same angle, right? And then you're going to use law of cosines any other time. Otherwise, right? I'll just say otherwise. So just some tips for you guys to think about. So again, it's just going to say solve the right triangle, or I'm sorry, not even solve the right triangle. It's just going to say solve the triangle. But this is kind of like the questions that you can ask yourself. Is it a right triangle? If it is, you're just going to use SOHCAHTOA, Pythagorean theorem. If it is not a right triangle, you're going to use either law of sines or law of cosines. The area problems, I do give you the formula. I do apologize. I don't have the actual formula sheet on me right now, but it'll be everything that I tell you guys. I think the only thing that I don't give you guys is the S. S equals A plus B plus C divided by 2. All right, which we're going to use here, actually. All right, so what does this say? This says find the area of each triangle. You want to ask yourself, what pieces of information do they give you? Right, so let's do number 1 together. What are we given here? Right, so we're given 3 sides, right? So if you're given 3 sides, you're going to use Heron's formula. If you don't know the name, that's fine. What you are given is that the area equals the square root of S times S minus A, S minus B, and S minus C. All right, what is S? I do believe that's the one thing I don't give you, so think about that. It's A plus B plus C over 2. All right, I'm giving you the square root one with the area, but I'm not going to give you the S, this little portion of it. So this one you do need to memorize. All right, so good, right? It's A plus B plus C over 2. Let's plug that into our calculators. We should get 8 plus 8 plus 13 divided by 2. Again, guys, make sure you're not making any silly mistakes in your calculators. I would add the entire top first and then divide it by 2. All right, what do we get for S? Nice, 14.5. All right. So all you do now is you plug this into your area formula. So it's going to be 14.5 times 14.5 minus 13 times 14.5 minus 8 times 14.5 minus 8 again. And this is all going to be under a square root. Again, might seem like a lot, but I do give you guys these formulas. So as long as you know what numbers you're plugging in, then you should be okay. And I do believe we should get to the nearest, what does it say? Nearest tenth is 1 decimal place. So 30.3. Don't worry about units for your quiz. I'm just going to want the number. I think all the numbers are unitless in your quiz, so no units there.
How do you know which one's A, B, and C again?
A, B, and C are always opposite of whatever angle they're facing, right? So this is A, this is B, and then this is C. All right, good with this one, guys?
Yeah.
Good, right? Just a whole bunch of plugging in. Yeah, 30.3. Okay. This is another one that says to find the area. This one you're going to use the other area formula. Keep in mind there are 3 versions of it. You will be given all 3 of them. You can go back to your 8.1 notes if you want to look at the exact formulas. But let's just see what we're given, right? This 15.7 is B. Again, it's whatever it's facing. This 8 is C. And then we're given angle A. All right, so that means our area 10 out, is going to be 1/2 BC times sine of A, right? This was one of our formulas that were given. All right, so then this is going to be, we just have to plug everything in. It's going to be 1/2 times 15.7 times 8 times sine of our angle A. All right, so we plug all of that into our calculator, and then we should get 57.8.
Give us the formula, okay?
Yeah, I'm giving you guys that formula. All right, so those are the 2 area ones. All right, let's try these now. These say, what? Solve the triangle, right? So what does that mean? You're finding every missing side and every missing angle. All right, so let's have a look at this one right here. First, what information are we given? How many sides, how many angles? Good, right? 2 sides, 1 angle. Of those, do we have anything that matches? Do we have the same side as we do the angle? No, right? So what does that mean we have to use? Which formula? Yeah, right? If you don't have any matching pairs, you do law of cosines, right? So you're going to use cosines here. And you're going to use the version of law of cosines that has all of these labeled for you, right? This is going to be C. This one is going to be B. And then this right here is angle A. So check your formulas. You're going to find the formula that has a lowercase b, a lowercase c, and an uppercase a. All right, and that's going to be the one that has a squared equals, it's going to look like this, right? B squared plus c squared minus 2bc cosine of a. And so all you're going to do is you're going to plug all of this into your calculator, right? So plug it into the formula, then plug it into your calculator. So it's going to be 16 squared plus 21 squared minus 2 times 16 times 21 times cosine of 119. All right, right, so plug that into your calculator. All right, and then when you do this, you should get a squared equals 1022. It's going to be 0.792 something. But this is a squared, so I do want to square root this to get the final answer. Right? We should know how to square root in a calculator. And then when we do this, I do believe it rounds up, right? It's going to round up to 32 centimeters. Again, I do believe everything on the quiz is unitless, so just give me the number. So we get A is 32. All right, what can we do now? Do we have anything useful to us now? Good, now we have all the sides. More specifically, we have what? Yeah, we have both of our A's, right? If we have both of our A's, what formula can we use now? Law of sines, right? We're going to use law of sines now. Let's do it to find angle B, right? And then we're going to find C at the end, okay? So keep in mind, I do give you law of sines. It's going to be, if you want to find B, it's going to be A over sine A equals, we can say that this is B over sine of B. All right, just plug in all the information that you have. We have 32 over sine of 119 equals 16 over sine of B. All right, and here we're solving for B, so we're going to cross multiply. And then cross multiplying is going to get us 32 times sine of B equals 16 times sine of 119. And then you want to get sine of B by itself, so let's divide by 32. And then we get sine of B equals 16 sine of 119 over 32. All right, this gets us sine of B, so how would we just get B? Yeah, right, with the inverse, right? We're going to do sine inverse on both sides. All right, so let's plug in sine inverse, this whole thing into our calculators. Again, as always, be very careful with what you're plugging in. And then we should get B. Angle B is 25.9 degrees. All right, what's the only thing missing? Angle C, right? So we have A and B. We just need angle C. Nice, so we're going to do 180 minus those two angles. So 180 minus 119 minus 25.9. Nice. So we get C is 35.1. All right, so kind of a long problem. All right, that's why there's not many of these. Okay, let's try the next one. Okay, what information do we have here? All the sides. So what does that mean by default? Do we have any matching pairs? So no matching pairs. So that means by default we have to use law of cosines. All right. We always find the largest angle first. What would the largest angle in this case be? C, right? So you're going to use law of cosines, the version of law of cosines that gives you cosine of C. Again, you are given that formula as well. So it's going to be cosine of C is A squared plus B squared minus C squared over 2AB. So we're going to plug that in. Bless you. So we have A is 22, B is 23, and then C is 24. All right, remember, label the sides opposite of the angle. So let's plug all this in. All right, we're going to get 22 squared plus 24 squared. Wait, sorry, plus 23 squared minus 24 squared over 2 times 22 times 23. Just to not make any mistakes in your calculator, I would put the entire top first and then the entire bottom. All right, so I do believe the top gets you 437. And then the bottom gets you 1012. And this gets you cosine of C. So what does that mean we have to do now? Good, right? With the inverse. Cos inverse on both sides. And then when you do cos inverse, you should get the measure of angle C is 64.4 degrees. All right, so that's one of our answers. All right, now we can use law of sines, right? We can use law of sines to get either angle A or angle B. All right, let's try angle A. So let's do A over sine A. Again, you are given these formulas. Equals C over sine C. So let's plug everything in. We should get 22 over sine of A is 24 over sine of 64.4. All right, and then just like before, you do want to cross multiply. And then doing that's going to get you 24 times sine of A equals 22 times sine of 64.4. Divide both sides by 24. And then sine of A is going to get us 22 sine of 64.4 over 24. And then we do the inverse to get the angle by itself. And then you plug this in your calculator, we should get 55.8. So we have A, we have C, and now let's find B. All right, so it's going to be 180 minus 55.8 minus 64.4. And so we should get B is 59.8. Okay, so there's a couple more. Let's do 13, and then let's do a right triangle. Okay, let's see what information we have in 13. Any matching pairs here? Good, right? We have C. What does that mean we can use? Law of sines, right? So if we have a matching pair, we can use law of sines. And we also have side B, so that means we're going to use law of sines to find angle B. So we're going to do B over sine of B equals C over sine C. She asked when she comes back. All right, so plug in and we get 10 over sine of B. We don't know what angle B is. Equals 18 over sine of angle C, so sine of 108. And then just like before, we cross multiply. So we get 18 times sine of b equals 10 times sine of 108. And then divide both sides by 18. Sorry, 102. Thank you. All right, so then that crosses out, and then we can do sine inverse on both sides. Okay, I'll wait. So then b is whatever we get when we plug this into our calculator. Yeah, nice. So we get 32.9 degrees. All right, what can we find now? If we have two of our angles. Yeah, right, we can find A now. We can find A pretty easily, right? This one we very simply just do 180 minus our two angles. We should get A is 45.1. Bless you. And then one more side, we just need side A. So again, we're going to do law of sines for one last time, and then we get our angle A. So A over sine A equals, we can do B or C, it doesn't really matter. I'll try C, right? C over sine C. So we're going to get A over sine of 45.1 equals 18 over sine of 102. Since we just need A, we don't really need to cross multiply. We just want to get the A by itself. So let's do sine of 45.1 on both sides. And then when you plug this in your calculator, A should get you 13.0. All right, the next one's fairly similar, so I'll leave that one for you guys. I'll finish today with the right triangle. Okay, so let's try 17. All right, what kind of triangle is this one? Yeah, it's a right triangle, right? So we can use some familiar methods, right? SOHCAHTOA, Pythagorean theorem. All of that is usable here. So we can try to use it. What's one piece of information we can find? Sure, let's try to find side C. How would we do that? Yeah, right, we would use A squared plus B squared equals C squared. So let's do 16 squared plus 15 squared equals C squared, right? All you're doing is you're plugging this in your calculator. We get 481. And then square root, and so we should get C equals 21.9. All right, what's missing now? Yeah, right, the angles. So let's go one by one. So let's find angle A. Sure, go ahead. Okay, what's one way that we can find angle A? Okay, we can use SOHCAHTOA, right? One of our trig ratios. I heard someone say sine, so we can do the opposite, which is 16. So I know sine of A is the opposite, 16 over what? So SOHCAHTOA, what is sine? What over what? Opposite over OH, opposite over hypotenuse. What's our hypotenuse? 21.9, right? It's always across the right angle. All right, but that doesn't give us A, that gives us sine of A. All right, so let's take the inverse. A equals, let's do sine inverse of that number. And then we should get A is 46.9. Nice, right? So you're going to do 180 minus 90 minus 46.9 to get the last angle. And this should get you 43.1 is angle B, capital B. Again, the next one's pretty similar, I think even a little bit easier, so I'll leave it there. I know it's a lot, but your quiz isn't that many questions. So it's a lot of work per question, but there's less than there normally is. All right, so I'll leave it there for today.